Penn State On Demand is a service of Penn State Public Broadcasting, and now you can support WPSU when you shop online. Visit WPSU.org/shop to make purchases from national online retailers, and WPSU will receive a portion of the sale with no extra cost to you. So start your online shopping at WPSU.org/shop.
Every generation has events that shape who they are.
The greatest generation defeated fascism in World War II.
The silent generation was defined by ambiguity and the forgotten war.
Baby boomers had Woodstock.
And Generation Xers had the introduction of personal technology.
But it is the millennials that could be the next great generation.
Join 9 Penn State students as they discover what it means to be this generation. We are
the Millennials. All right, guys, we're back for another season of We Are the Millennials. How do you guys feel about where the generation is headed?
I think a lot of people in our generation are unsure of where they're headed right now. As far as being a millennial, a lot of people, when we went out in the streets, didn't even know what a millennial was, even though they were one.
I think that stereotype of millennials being lazy and, not driven is totally wrong. Going out and talking to people, you find that they're really determined and ready to do big things with their life.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, they're always associating us with technology, but there's so much more to us. And it was very interesting to see what other people associated us with instead of our parents and the generations before us.
Yeah, but back to the technology thing, it takes people forever to just break through the fact that, we are more than technology. We are so much more than that, and no one can seem to see that.
I think we really established what we think the millennials are, but what do people outside? I mean, there are a million different opinions about it, so let's take a look at it.
We're definitely more mixed as a culture.
We still have a lot to learn, but we also have a lot to teach.
I think we're a lot more fast-paced.
We are hooked in all the time. We also have Facebook and MySpace.
We are the socially networked generation.
He makes a really interesting point. Stephanie, I know you worked on our next story. What did you find out?
I think the most interesting thing with this story is the fact that our generation has gone more from using newspapers and advertising to using Facebook and Twitter to truly promote themselves. We were able to go out there and find out what students think, and one student who truly uses Twitter and Facebook to promote his brand.
I log into Facebook 5 times a day.
I log onto Facebook 10 times a day.
I tweet 5 times a day.
I log onto Facebook about 6 or 7 times a day.
With the millennial generation in full swing, many students are turning to Facebook and Twitter. These social networking sites are proving to be a great way for marketing.
In 2009, a very common word of mouth is digital word of mouth, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace.
Music is one area where social networks have been extremely successful.
A DJ in State College, Pennsylvania, better known as DJ Supernova, takes advantage of today's most popular social networks.
The 3 main ones are MySpace, Twitter, and Facebook. Facebook is more personal. It's good. You can, on your status, put where I'm going to be for the week. That's what I do on my Facebook wall. Twitter is the new fad. It's really good in the sense that you can update regardless of where you are. You don't have to be by a computer.
It's through these social networks that the self-proclaimed DJ has promoted his work.
The good thing about Twitter is that you can ask people to retweet, which is pretty much they'll copy and paste the tweet that you placed. So if you have, let's say 200 friends on Twitter and everybody that's your friend does it, that's 200 tweets.
Anchal Professor of Marketing Arvind Rangaswamy explains social networking through the millennial generation.
I did a project with Facebook here at Penn State. There are about 8,000 people of the graduating class of 2010 that I have in this group. And I find that on average, they had about 16 people they were related to. But you would be able to reach any Penn State student from any other with just 3 hops. Friend, a friend, a friend, you'll be reached. There is a place for both to play, and the millennials are saying, hey, this is our medium, and we are helping define it. And if you want to come and play, you play with our rules.
Millennials have gone to Twitter, Facebook, and MySpace to market themselves.
Word of mouth has always been important in business, and now, I mean, more than ever, with all the competition, yeah, digital word of mouth has definitely helped us out a lot.
You know, you also want to be conscious of wanting to talk to people and meet people in person. I mean, some people think those sites are impersonal. I mean, I agree to a certain extent, but it does help.
Rangaswamy explains how these social connections add another layer to the social mediums.
It's not a replacement. A lot of us are going to still live fully in the physical world and meet each other and make a lot of business transactions face to face. But all these additional media add another layer of interaction which we can exploit.
Stephanie, it's really amazing how sites like Facebook and Twitter have more from people connecting with each other to now marketing themselves. What did you guys think about that piece and what it really says about sites like that?
Well, what I think is almost impressive with our generation is how we have forced other generations into using these things. I mean, like, I know grandparents who have Facebooks and are using Twitter, and it's really become a necessary tool for our society.
And we've also bent corporations' arms backwards into, you know, hiring our generation because we're the only people who really understand how this stuff works. So you need to hire us if you want it to actually be a successful, you know, page and actually promote yourself properly.
Right. I think the interesting thing is, like, this is our generation's social networking, Facebook and Twitter, and people truly use it and they're successful, whether it's to promote their brand name or even for organizations to promote a meeting. It's a very successful marketing tool.
And even like last year with the election, President Obama is famous for having used Facebook as a great tool to help him gain supporters.
I think it can be used for a lot more than what most people maybe coming into college originally see it as a social networking site, you know, adding friends, stuff like that. It's a way to get news. I know some schools have even implemented, you know, news alerts if there's something, a disaster, then they need to get through to their students in an emergency. So it's a bunch of things. It's a marketing tool, it's a way to meet friends, and it's a way to get any message out, really.
Coming up next, millennials spending big bucks on the stock market. And just how diverse is our generation's taste in music?
Its investors take money from their clients and put it to work in the stock market, attempting to earn the best possible return for their clients. 4 hours away from Wall Street at Penn State, there's another group with the exact same mentality. It's known as the Nittany Lion Fund.
The Nittany Lion Fund is a $3.8 million student-run mutual fund.
There are a lot of student-run mutual funds across the country, but what makes ours unique is that we actually have 68 real investors that we have to answer to.
Mostly, you know, wealthy alumni give at least a minimum of $50,000 to us, which we, you know, have to go and invest across mostly domestic stocks.
The goal is to outperform the S&P 500, considered by most to be the best measure of the overall U.S. economy. Outperforming means that money invested in the fund needs to do better than money invested in the S&P. This goal actually allows them to sometimes succeed even if they lose money.
The S&P is down 30% and we're down 25%. That's considered a win in our book.
Like a real mutual fund, there is no guarantee on the money the investors put in. Simply put,
if we lose it and it's gone, hopefully that's not the case.
It's absolutely surreal. We're talking millions of dollars here and none of us even have a college degree.
The money concerns they have are dramatically different from their peers. While most college students may ponder a decision to eat out or stay home, these students have to decide what to do with their last $40,000.
And they're saying, is that really enough to open another position? We really want to do something with it. And after a few hours of research, we said, all right, well, let's buy $40,000 of this stock. In the moment, you don't really think about it, but then when you pull back and you're like, wait a second, I'm 20 years old and I'm putting 40 grand to work.
Many members of the fund trade stocks for their own personal gain, too.
I've been investing my own money since my freshman year here in college.
When I was around 16 years old, that's when I started getting interested in finance and investing, and I started, you know, saving up my lunch money and buying a couple shares of this and that.
The students love what they do, and they also see it as a learning experience.
It's certainly been an interesting experience, you know, at times a little bit trying. Going into the financial industry, this has really given me a solid foundation for knowing how markets behave, you know, when things are calm and quiet, like they were more or less my freshman year, and then when how markets behave when the world almost falls apart like they did last year.
I mean, at one point we had over $5 million in the fund. And then after, 08, we're losing millions of dollars as students, you start to think like, aren't these investors going to pull out their money? But at the end of the day, it's such an amazing educational experience, and I think these alumni realize that.
A couple of mistakes, Google obviously wasn't a great stock to hold through the downturn. We ended up holding it from all the way from 700 to 300, and that was heartbreaking to watch.
The fund has given the students a big edge over other graduates. Even in 2008, almost all of the fund's graduating members had jobs on the street, creating a growing pack of Nittany Lions among the bulls.
Greg and Chris, I know you guys worked in the story. It's just amazing to me that these kids at such a young age are working with that much money.
They even find it amazing sometimes. I mean, they're 20, 21 years old. They don't have a college degree. And, here they are managing over $3 million of alumni funds that, aren't guaranteed. If they lose the money, that money's gone. It's not coming back unless they earn it back.
And it's mentioned in the piece, these guys get a chance to do this without even having a college degree. There's not a lot of people out there that control that much money before even graduating from a university.
Yeah, I think it's really, obviously, a once-in-a-lifetime experience, something that really prepares them for the real world and the next step in their lives.
Now, is this something that a lot of college students are doing across the country, or is this...
I didn't get that impression at all. The way they were speaking is it's very, you might have a simulated stock market type of thing, or you'd be trading money, but the college would guarantee it, or it'd be from the Smeal endowment in this case. This is just alumni that have come in and said, you know what, I'm putting up $50,000 or more, go out there and earn me some more on the stock market. I don't think it's a common experience you'll find too many other places.
Yeah, it's really a lot of trust for our generation, putting a lot in our hands.
Yeah, for a supposedly lazy generation, it's quite interesting.
Watch as our flame dances flickering, but the time will come for extinguishing. We're marrying intellect with giftedness, so it is up to us to distinguish it. Become Miss Butterworth unless Mrs. Fitz, or bubble into Dr. Peppers and Mr. Pibb. We got more than the world at our fingertips, so it is up to us to live in it. We are the Millennials. My name's Roan. I write and I rap, and I'm a millennial.
So we've seen Adam, who obviously has a very urban style to his music, but I don't think that's necessarily what defines our music in our generation. Does anyone have an idea of what defines music in our generation?
I think it is what you make it. I mean, everybody, at least people that I know, have a tendency to like all different kinds of music.
Yeah, same here. We've got iPods carrying around in our pockets. I've got techno on mine. I don't dance. I don't know where it came from, but I mean, there it is. And I'd be willing to bet everyone has something on their iPod that they'd rather not admit to actually having, in their playlist.
I think all of you guys are actually right with the diversity. We actually went out and talked to a couple kids, and not only is our generation listening to different types of music, but they're also playing their own music quite differently.
I think still in music you're looking at creativity. At least that's what separates the good people from the great people, the people that actually make it. There's a lot of creativity, whether it's production value or whether it's songwriting. I think creativity is at a paramount in the music industry.
Mm-hmm. And here's our generation, and we're taking in everything.
It's safe to say that music may be a bigger part of Matt Sabo's life than the average millennial's. Every day, he spends hours learning the notes, practicing the steps, and literally flipping over frontwards because he holds the coveted position of drum major for Penn State's legendary Blue Band.
The Blue Band up here is so recognized and so, respected that, whenever we go to games, people will be cheering for us in some cases.
Sabo, who has played clarinet since 4th grade, rose through the ranks to lead this organization, which is recognized for its combination of crowd-pleasing traditional and contemporary tunes.
We play things that the students, get into, whether it's popular music, like Sweet Caroline or Living on a Prayer, or Hey Baby.
Matt may be one member of our generation that has chosen a more traditional approach to music than the electric guitar, But he is not alone. Abby Bruner, president of the Blue Band, said she chose to play the trumpet for its history.
I really liked the idea of playing in a concert band and in an orchestra, and so I knew that I had to play an instrument that was more classical.
While millennials like Abby and Matt may have chosen a traditional path in music, members of State College Band north of Nittany have created a sound that's all their own.
We all figured out that he played bass and Pat played guitar and I played drums, so we were like, let's play sometime together.
The band, which includes a saxophone, bass, drums, and guitar, play at local bars and parties, as well as traveling out of state for shows.
I love finishing a song and having people cheer and stuff. It's fun.
Band member Kyle Snyder's roots began in a marching band, but he says he enjoys the freedom that he feels when he's playing with north of Nittany.
But you know, getting to do like playing my own band and stuff, I get to play the music I want to play. I get to write you know, what I want instead of having to play what's given to me.
No matter what type of band millennials belong to, whether they are learning formations or simply recording in a basement, there is one thing these millennials can agree on.
Show me a person who says that they don't love music and I'll show you a liar, you know what I mean? Everybody loves music.
With the next story, Viviana and I took a look at how women millennials are similar and how they're different from women in previous generations. So what do you guys think about women millennials as compared to maybe your mothers or even your grandmothers?
You know, growing up as a woman in America today, I never questioned, you know, can I have a career and balance a family life? It wasn't something I struggled with, and I think I take that for granted sometimes, and I would be surprised if some people didn't mention that aspect of life today.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost something that we've lost awareness on. You know, we are always talking about racism and we're talking about sexual orientation and many other problems in our nation, but we really have stopped focusing on the differences in gender.
How are women millennials similar to women of the past? How are they different? We decided to take a closer look at the woman millennial in relation to women of previous generations.
Each generation has many defining faces that have greatly influenced history. Susan B. Anthony,
Rosa Parks,
Barbara Walters,
Hillary Clinton.
All are women who have had a significant influence not only in history, but on all women.
Undoubtedly, women's role in society is still changing.
I think there are such great politicians and PR because they can manage relationship with more wise than a man.
I feel like just as a woman you can get places where you couldn't have gotten in the past. Even in countries like in the Middle East where traditionally women are behind the scenes or behind the curtains, I guess.
With the transition of like media, like information is so readily available to like all groups, so women are more knowledgeable, women have equal opportunities for the most part.
We're all going to college and we all feel like we can be anything we want to be, and I think that's a huge improvement over previous generations of women. Even if they did go to college, they sort of went there to find an educated husband and that was it.
It's just sexual freedom. I think women have a lot more choices in as far as careers and everything like that goes.
We have already taken a look at what some millennials think of women, so we decided to sit down and take a closer look at what millennials think of women across generations.
It's much less risky to be a bold woman now than in the past.
A lot of the social barriers that sort of kept women back where they shouldn't have been, being gradually knocked down. I think that's really good for society in general.
Being nurturers, be able to be like leaders of countries and all that stuff, so it's kind of cool.
We've discussed the ways in which a woman's role in society has changed and is still evolving. But what about the social structure that perpetuates exactly how it is that women's choices change our lives? One Penn State professor provides insight on how women's choices make a difference in today's society.
When younger women feel that they are oppressed by, for example, terrible images, advertising, and media about women, One of the issues is that it's young women who buy those magazines, it's young women who go on those websites. And I would urge young women to choose, to make those choices, which will ultimately undermine those social structures.
As Dr. Aristarkova said, now more than ever, a woman's role in society is her choice.
We can still have that household, we can still be the mom, the loving mom, but we do have that opportunity to really be something, be anything.
It's a good time to be a woman in the world.
It's really good to see that women millennials are taking opportunities at every corner they turn. But we've covered a lot of ground in this show. What stands out to you guys?
I think how unique this generation is. We've proven that these stereotypes don't necessarily apply to our generation, and we are a very different generation.
Yeah, I think we've also seen that we do have more to us than just, you know, technology and our ability to use it, and that we do really have a lot to offer people.
What shocked me was the relative value of money. If I woke up having lost $10,000 anywhere, I'd be declaring bankruptcy. If these investors we talked about, you know, down day in the market, they're out $10,000 and, you know, they're doing fine. They just need to earn it back.
There's a lot of things that are really unique to our generation, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that we take from generations past, too.
I think what really struck me with everything in the show is that networking and investing and women's rights and music, these aren't new concepts, but it was really interesting to see what our generation was doing with them.
Yeah, I think you're seeing our generation take on a lot of responsibility, and as we answer those challenges, that's what makes our generation compelling.